I live in New York, and I love living in New York, but doing comedy in New York has its ups and downs. Like last year, I won a local comedy competition, and for winning, they gave me a giant trophy. And I then got to take that giant trophy and hold it while I rode the subway home for an hour. Holding a giant trophy while you ride public transportation for an hour is a great way to let people know you won, but you're still losing. One thing I actually like about the subway, though, is I like all the artists down on the platform doing creative things for money. Like one time I walked past a man who was sitting behind a sign that said, pick a price, pick a subject, get a poem. I didn't have time to interact with him then, but I do have a plan for next time I see him. I want to go up and be like, hey, let me get a $2 poem about pigeons, just because that's a fun, random thing to request. And then regardless of the first poem he gives me, I want to follow that up with, now let me get a $5 poem about pigeons. Just because I want to see how prolific this man can be. And when you think about it, that's a 150% price increase from one poem to the next, and I expect to see that reflected in his work. Like those $2 metaphors better turn to $5 allegories, that's all I'm saying. Just want to keep him on his toes. Go and be like, let me get a $1 poem about God. Now let me get a $10 poem about string cheese. It's been a big week for me. Earlier in the week, I got a new beard trimmer. And that's exciting, because that means that my old beard trimmer is now my new ball hair trimmer. And my old ball hair trimmer is now my friend Kyle's new beard trimmer. What's up, Kyle? And then a month ago, my girlfriend and I moved in together. That was a big step. In doing so, we had to take the prerequisite couples shopping trip to IKEA, go and get everything for our place. We were putting everything together, had IKEA parts all over our floor. One of my friends came over, saw everything on the floor. He asked us what we were building. My girlfriend said, our lives together, at literally the exact same time as I said, shelves. So then I started building the couch I've been sleeping on. We try to keep the romance alive, so we have date night once a week. The last date I took her to was to one of those wine and paint places where you can bring your own bottle of wine and sip it while the instructor teaches the whole class how to paint. The entire class was full of couples where the women were very excited to be there and the men were very clearly dragged there. But after about an hour of drinking wine, the women completely stopped caring about the painting and the men got super serious about the painting. Like, all the women were just going behind their boyfriends like, woo! We were all like, bitch, I'm trying to contour. You think Impressionism just happens? I'm into trying new things, though, which is why at the beginning of the summer I tried acid for the first time. Yeah. And I'd always heard acid was a good drug to do outdoors in nature. I live in New York, not a lot of options. So I ate the acid and I went to Central Park. And I found the big lake in the middle of Central Park, and I found a nice little rock by the side of the lake, and I was just sitting there minding my business, watching the ducks float on the water. About 10 minutes go by, I turn to my right, and there's a young little girl sitting next to me on the rock. And she looks up at me, and she goes, hey, mister, you want to hear a riddle? And I was like, absolutely. I've never wanted to hear a riddle so badly before in my life. What you got, kid? And she goes, what's the beginning and end, the end of time, and the beginning and end of everywhere? And I was like, whoa. Like, does she know I'm on acid right now? You know what I mean? Like, I'm expecting her to say something like, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? She's coming at me about space and time. I wasn't ready for it, so I asked her to repeat it. She said, what's the beginning and end, the end of time, beginning and end of everywhere? You guys know the answer? The letter E. Something she read on the back of a Laffy Taffy wrapper almost altered my existence. You guys have been great.